The morning bell rang across the massive metal halls of Nexus 7 Station. Students from dozens of different worlds hurried to their classes. Some walked on two legs like humans. Others moved on 4, 6, or even more. The Galactic Military Academy was home to the best young fighters from across the known universe. Yuna Kim sat in the back corner of combat strategy class, just like every other day. Her small hands held a simple data pad. Her dark eyes watched the front of the room without showing any emotion. Around her, the classroom buzzed with alien voices speaking in dozens of languages. "Attention, cadets." Commander Veltarth's deep voice cut through the noise. The tall reptilian warrior stood nearly 8 feet high. His green scales caught the artificial light as he moved. Sharp yellow eyes scanned the room. "Today we study the Battle of Kepler Station." Yuna wrote notes in neat, small letters. She did not look up when other students whispered or made jokes. She did not raise her hand when the commander asked questions. She simply existed in her corner like a shadow. 3 seats ahead of her, Zixmore stretched his 4 powerful arms. The Vrex student was the pride of his species. Each of his arms could lift twice what a human could manage. His blue skin showed the ritual scars of a warrior. Other students looked at him with respect and fear. The defending forces made a critical error, Commander Veltarth continued, pointing at the holographic display. They placed their weakest units on the outer rim. This allowed the enemy to break through easily. Zixmore's hand shot up. "Commander, my people would never make such a mistake. We put our strongest fighters where the danger is greatest." Several students nodded in agreement. The commander's mouth curved in what might have been a smile. "Very good, Cadet Zixmore. Your species understands strength." Near the front row, Fella closed her large purple eyes. The luminous student's head tentacles glowed softly as she used her mind-reading abilities. "I can sense the battle tactics in the historical records," she said in her musical voice. "The emotions of fear and desperation from the losing side." "Excellent work, Cadet Thola," the commander said. "Your psychic gifts give you advantages others lack." Yuna continued writing. Her face showed nothing. She might have been taking notes about the weather instead of military history. When other students demonstrated their natural weapons or special abilities, she simply watched. When they boasted about their homeworld's military victories, she remained silent. During the break, students gathered in small groups. The tall, rock-skinned granite shared stories of their planet's underground wars. The floating gas clouds spoke in whistling sounds about aerial combat. The insect-like hive showed their razor-sharp claws. Yuna packed her data pad and prepared to leave. As always, no one tried to talk to her. Humans were known across the galaxy for being weak. They had no natural weapons, no special powers, no impressive physical strength. Most alien students wondered why humans were even allowed in the academy. "The small human never speaks," Zixmore said to his friends, loud enough for Yuna to hear. "Perhaps her species has nothing useful to add." A few students laughed. Yuna walked past them without changing her expression. Her soft shoes made no sound on the metal floor. She moved like she was trying not to be noticed. Commander Veltarth watched her leave. For just a moment, his reptilian eyes narrowed. Something about the quiet human girl bothered him, though he could not say what. She never caused trouble. She completed all assignments on time. Her test scores were average, not great, not terrible. But sometimes when he looked at her, he felt like a prey animal being watched by a predator. The feeling always passed quickly. After all, what threat could one small, silent human girl possibly be? As Yuna disappeared into the crowded hallway, none of her classmates noticed the way she had been watching them. They did not see how her eyes had tracked every movement, cataloged every weakness, memorized every detail. They saw only what she wanted them to see, a quiet, harmless student who posed no danger to anyone. That was exactly how she liked it. 2 weeks later, Commander Veltarth stood before the assembled cadets in the main hall. His voice echoed off the metal walls as hundreds of young warriors listened. Students from 50 different worlds filled the massive room. The air hummed with nervous energy. "Cadets," the commander began, "the time has come for your final test. The annual survival simulation." A wave of excited whispers spread through the crowd. Some students looked eager. Others appeared worried. Una sat in her usual spot at the back, her face showing nothing. "You will spend 1 month on the planet Kythera," Commander Veltarth continued. "This world is home to the most dangerous creatures in this sector. The environment will test every skill you have learned." The holographic display showed a red planet covered in thick jungles and sharp mountains. Strange creatures moved through the images, things with too many teeth and claws like knives. "I must warn you," the commander said, his yellow eyes serious. "In the past 5 years, 40% of students have suffered major injuries. Some have died. This is not a game." Zixmore flexed his 4 arms and grinned. "My people were born for this kind of challenge." Thala's tentacles glowed as she reached out with her mind. "I can sense the fear thoughts from previous classes. Many students never return the same." Near them, a massive granite student named Rock cracked his stone knuckles. "Weak minds break easily. Strong ones survive." Commander Veltarth activated another display. "You will work in teams of 4. Each team must include different species. This teaches cooperation across racial lines." The team assignments appeared on screens around the room. Students rushed forward to check their names. Una walked slowly, in no hurry to see her fate. "Team 12, she read quietly. Her name was listed with 3 others. Jiho Park, another human from Earth's Korean region. Zixmore, the proud Vrex warrior. And Thala, the mind-reading Lumina. Jiho found her first. He was tall for a human, with kind eyes and a nervous smile. "I guess we are partners," he said in accented standard. "I am not much of a fighter, but I am good with technology." Zixmore approached their group with obvious displeasure. "2 humans," he said, looking at Una and Jiho like they were broken equipment. "How am I supposed to succeed with such weak teammates?" Thala drifted over, her purple form moving gracefully. "My psychic abilities will guide us," she said, "though I sense much uncertainty from our human companions." Other teams were already boasting about their chances. Team 3 had 2 granite warriors and a gas cloud scout. Team 7 included 3 different warrior species known for their hunting skills. Students pointed at Team 12 and whispered, "Look at that group," a Hive student clicked to his friends. 2 humans, 1 telepath, and only 1 real fighter. They will not last a week. The humans will slow everyone down, agreed a Vrex from Team 4. Maybe the rest of us will have better chances with fewer competitors. Cruel laughter echoed from several groups. Even some of the instructors shook their heads when they saw the team assignments. Team 12 was clearly viewed as the failure group. Una listened to every comment. She watched every gesture. Her dark eyes noted which students were confident, which were afraid, and which were already planning to eliminate weaker teams. "We leave tomorrow at dawn," Commander Veltarth announced. "Use tonight to prepare. Study your teammates. Learn their strengths and weaknesses. On Kythera, your survival depends on working together." As students dispersed to pack their gear, Una remained seated for a moment longer. She studied the images of Kythera still rotating on the main display. The deadly creatures, the hostile environment, the terrain that had killed so many before. For the first time since arriving at the academy, something that might have been a smile touched the corners of her mouth. It was gone so quickly that anyone watching might have imagined it. Jiho noticed her expression. "Are you worried about tomorrow?" he asked gently. Una looked at him with those calm, dark eyes. "No," she said simply. "I am not worried at all." As she walked away, neither Jiho nor anyone else saw the way her hands moved. Quick, precise gestures that looked like nervous habits but were actually exercises. The kind of exercises that kept killing skills sharp. Tomorrow, They would all learn what happened when predators were given the perfect hunting ground. The dropship shook violently as it fell through Kithara's red sky. Warning lights flashed inside the metal cabin. The pilot's voice crackled over the speakers. Ion storm ahead. All teams prepare for emergency landing. Yuna gripped her safety harness and watched through the small window. Purple lightning danced across the clouds below. The jungle looked like a sea of blood-colored trees stretching to the horizon. "This is not good," Gio said, his knuckles white, as he held onto his seat. Zixmore's forearms flexed with confidence. "My people have survived worse crashes. We will be fine." Fala closed her eyes, her tentacles glowing as she tried to sense what awaited them. Suddenly, she gasped. "I feel pain. Old pain. Many students have died in these jungles." The dropship hit something hard. Metal screamed against rock. The cabin spun like a child's toy. Bags and equipment flew through the air. Then everything went black. Yuna woke first. Her head hurt, but she moved quickly to check the others. Gio was unconscious but breathing. Zixmore had a cut on his blue forehead. Thala's purple skin had turned pale with shock. "Everyone alive?" Yuna asked quietly. "I think so," Zixmore groaned as he stood up. "But the ship is destroyed. We are stuck here for 30 days." Through the broken windscreen, they could see Kithara's hostile world. The trees were massive, with leaves like black metal. Strange sounds echoed from the jungle. Howls, clicks, and roars that hurt their ears. "I will leave us," Zixmore announced, checking his plasma rifle. "My combat training is superior to all of yours." Fala nodded weakly. "I can scout ahead with my mind. Sense dangers before we reach them." Gio looked around nervously. "What should Yuna and I do?" "Stay behind us," Zixmore said dismissively. "Try not to slow us down." They made camp near the crashed ship as the red sun began to set. The jungle grew darker and more threatening. Alien insects buzzed around their heads. In the distance, something large crashed through the trees. "We should take turns watching for danger," Gio suggested. "Good idea," Zixmore agreed. "I will take first watch. Fala second. You humans can share the last shift." As the others settled down to rest, Yuna sat quietly by the small fire they had built. Her dark eyes watched the tree line. Her hands rested calmly in her lap, but her body was ready to move. Around midnight, Thala suddenly sat up. Her tentacles blazed with purple light. "Something is coming. Many somethings. Fast and hungry and angry." The sound reached them seconds later, a hunting howl that made their blood freeze. Then another howl answered from the opposite direction, and another from behind them. "Bloodhounds," Joe whispered, reading from his emergency guide. "Pack hunters. Razor claws. They have killed 12 students in the past 3 years." 6 pairs of yellow eyes appeared at the edge of their firelight. The bloodhounds moved like shadows with teeth. Each one was the size of a large wolf, but with claws longer than human fingers and jaws that could crush metal. Zixmore raised his rifle, but his hands shook. "There are too many. They move too fast." Thala tried to use her mental powers, but fear clouded her abilities. "I cannot focus. Their hunger is overwhelming." The lead bloodhound snarled and leaped forward. Its pack followed, moving like liquid death in the firelight. Zixmore froze. Thala screamed. Joe fell backward in terror. Yuna moved. She was not there, and then she was everywhere. Her small knife appeared in her hand like magic. The first bloodhound never reached the ground. Yuna's blade found its heart in midair. The second beast lunged at Gio. Yuna was already there, moving faster than her teammates could follow. The creature died before it could touch him. The third and fourth attacked together from opposite sides. Impossible. No one could fight 2 directions at once. But Yuna flowed between them like water, her knife dancing in patterns too quick to see. Both bloodhounds collapsed within seconds. The last 2 tried to flee. They had hunted long enough to know when they faced a superior predator. But Yuna was already moving, silent as death itself. Her blade found them before they reached the trees. 30 seconds. 6 dead bloodhounds. Not a sound from Yuna except her calm breathing. She wiped her knife clean and put it away. When she turned to face her teammates, her expression was exactly the same as always. Quiet, unremarkable, peaceful. "We should move," she said simply. "More will come. They hunt in larger packs when they smell blood." Zixmore stared at her with his mouth open. Thalla's tentacles had stopped glowing entirely. Joe looked like he had seen a ghost. None of them moved. "Now," Yuna added, still in that same calm voice. This time, they listened. For 3 days, Team 12 moved through the crimson jungle of Kithura. The alien trees grew so tall they blocked most of the red sunlight. Strange plants with thorns like needles covered the ground. Poisonous flowers released clouds of yellow dust when touched. Yuna walked at the back of their group, but something had changed. Her dark eyes moved constantly, tracking movements her teammates could not see. Her head turned toward sounds they could not hear. She stepped around dangers they never noticed. "Stop," she said quietly as they approached a clearing. Zixmore, who had been leading, turned around with annoyance. "Why?" "I see nothing dangerous." "Look at the ground," Yuna pointed with one finger. "See how the grass is bent. Something large walked through here recently." Thalla closed her eyes and reached out with her mind. "I sense nothing." "Because it is gone now," Yuna said. "But it was hunting. The broken branches show it was chasing something." Geo studied the area where Yuna pointed. Now that she mentioned it, he could see the signs. Crushed plants, claw marks on tree bark, drops of something dark that might have been blood. "How do you know all this?" Zixmore asked. Yuna shrugged. "I noticed things." They took a different path around the clearing. 2 hours later, they heard screams from behind them. Something had found other students in that same area. On the 4th day, they discovered Team 7 pinned down by a pack of metal-eating insects. The bug-like creatures had surrounded the 3 alien warriors, clicking their sharp mandibles. One student already lay motionless, his armor dissolved by acid. "We should help them," Geo said. "Too dangerous," Zixmore replied. "Those insects can melt through combat suits." Yuna was already moving. She vanished into the thick jungle without making a sound. What happened next confused the trapped students. The insects began dying one by one. No plasma fire, no explosions. They simply stopped moving and fell to the ground. In 5 minutes, all 20 insects were dead. Who did that? Called Minho, the leader of Team 7. He was a tall human with scars from previous battles. No one answered. Team 12 appeared from the jungle a few minutes later, walking casually as if nothing had happened. "We heard screaming," Geo said. "Is everyone safe?" Minho stared at them suspiciously. "Someone killed those insects. Someone very skilled." "Perhaps they fought each other," Thalla suggested. "Some creatures are territorial." But Minho noticed things others missed. He saw how Yuna's hands were perfectly clean when they should have been dirty from jungle travel. He noticed she was not breathing hard after supposedly walking through thick forest. Most importantly, he saw the tiny spot of green on her boot, the same color as the insect's blood. That night, Team 7 shared camp with Team 12. As the others slept, Minho spoke quietly into his emergency communicator. "This is Team 7 leader to all surviving teams. We have a situation. Something is hunting on Kithura. Something that kills without leaving tracks. Be careful of lone team members who seem too calm." His message reached 8 other teams scattered across the planet. Students began watching each other with new suspicion. The next morning, Team 3 found their camp surrounded by carnivorous plants that had crept up during the night. The massive flowers had teeth like sharks and moved with surprising speed. 2 students were already trapped in sticky pods. Team 12 arrived just as the plants began to feed. Again, Yuna disappeared into the shadows. The plants died quickly and silently, cut apart by something sharp and precise. "This is impossible," whispered Rock, the granite warrior from Team 3. "These plants have no weak spots. Nothing can cut through their stems." Yuna emerged from the jungle, her knife clean, and her expression unchanged. "We should keep moving. This area is too dangerous for camping." More messages went out that night. Fear began to spread among the surviving students faster than the jungle diseases. "There is something wrong with one of the human students," reported Team 5. "Things die around her, but she never looks tired. Never looks scared. I saw her eyes reflect light in the darkness," said Team 9. "Like a nocturnal predator." "She moves too quietly," added Team 11. "No footsteps. No broken branches. It is not natural." By the end of the first week, a new kind of fear had joined the terror of Kithara's creatures. Students whispered about the quiet human girl who appeared wherever death was needed. They were beginning to understand that the deadliest hunter on the planet was not something that belonged to Kithara. It was something that had come with them from the stars. On the 8th night, as crimson rain fell through the jungle canopy, Jiho could not sleep. He watched Yuma sitting by their small fire, cleaning her knife with careful movements. The blade caught the light like liquid silver. "Yuma," he whispered, trying not to wake the others. "Can I ask you something?" She looked at him with those calm, dark eyes. "What is it? Where did you learn to fight like that? No human moves the way you do." For a long moment, she said nothing. The rain drummed on the leaves above them. Somewhere in the distance, a creature screamed as it died. "Busan," she said finally. "I learned in Busan." 12 years earlier, in the coastal city of Busan, South Korea, Earth. 10-year-old Yuna sat in a grade room with no windows. Across from her, a man in a dark uniform studied her file. His name was Colonel Park, and his eyes were tired from seeing too much death. Your parents died in the alien contact incident, he said gently. The Vrex diplomatic ship crash. You were the only survivor found in the wreckage. Yuna nodded. She had not spoken since the rescue teams pulled her from the burning metal asterisk. The psychologists say you have unusual trauma responses. Colonel Park continued. Instead of fear, you show extreme focus. Instead of grief, you show perfect calm. This is very rare. He placed a small knife on the table between them. We have a program for children like you. Children who have seen too much death too young. Would you like to learn how to make sure no one else dies the way your parents did? Yuna picked up the knife. Her small fingers found the perfect grip without being taught. Yes, she whispered. Her first word in 3 months. You were in a government program? Joe asked quietly. Yuna nodded, still cleaning her blade. Project Silent Thunder, Earth's most secret military unit. She had never told anyone this before, but something about the dark jungle and the constant death made her want to speak. For 6 years, Yuna trained in facilities hidden beneath South Korean mountains. She learned 17 different ways to kill with her bare hands. She studied the anatomy of 43 known alien species. She practiced moving without sound through any environment. Her instructors were former Special Forces soldiers who had fought in the Shadow Wars, conflicts the galactic community never learned about. Battles where humans proved they could kill things much larger and stronger than themselves. Humans are persistence hunters, her combat teacher explained during one lesson. Our ancestors chased prey for days until it collapsed from exhaustion. We did not need to be the strongest or fastest. We just needed to never stop. Yuna, now 16, balanced on a narrow beam while throwing knives at moving targets. She hit everyone. But evolution gave us something else. The instructor continued. We learned to think like our prey, to predict their movements, to understand their fears. This makes us perfect assassins. Asterisk. Asterisk. Her psychological training was even more important than the physical skills. She learned to appear harmless, forgettable, weak. She studied how to make others underestimate her. Asterisk. Asterisk. The galaxy thinks humans are soft, her handler, Agent Kim, told her during their final briefing. They see our small size and assume we are helpless. This is our greatest weapon. Asterisk. Asterisk. Agent Kim handed her academy admission papers. You will go to Nexus 7 as a cultural exchange student. Your mission is to observe alien military capabilities and report back to Earth Command. Asterisk. Asterisk. What if they discover what I am? Yuna asked. Asterisk. Asterisk. They will not. Agent Kim smiled coldly. Because you are the ghost of Buzan. You have killed targets that elite alien soldiers could not touch, and no one has ever seen you coming. Asterisk. Jiho stared at her with wide eyes. You are a spy. I was, Yuna said simply. Until tonight. What changed tonight? Yuna looked up at the dark sky through the jungle canopy. Somewhere above them, beyond the clouds, the real war was about to begin. My communicator received new orders 3 hours ago, she said. Project Silent Thunder is activating worldwide. Something big is coming to the galaxy. Something that requires all human assets to reveal themselves. She stood up and began packing her gear with efficient movements. The academy was never just about education, Jiho. It was about placing us where we could do the most damage when the time came. Thunder rolled across the crimson sky of Cathara. But this time, it sounded almost like the roar of approaching warships. The quiet student was about to become something much more dangerous. The hunt was just beginning. The emergency beacon screamed across the jungle on the 10th morning. All surviving teams heard the sharp electronic wail that meant only one thing: immediate evacuation. Yuna looked up from her breakfast with sudden alertness. This was not part of the simulation schedule. Something had gone very wrong. All students report to emergency pickup zones immediately. Commander Veltarth's voice crackled through their communicators. But the signal was weak and broken. Code red. This is not a drill. Repeat. This is not a... The transmission cut to static. Fala closed her eyes and reached out with her psychic abilities. Her tentacles began to glow, then suddenly blazed with white light. She screamed and fell backward. What did you see? Zixmore demanded. Death. Fala whispered, her purple skin pale with shock. So much death. The academy station. It is gone. Burning. Full of creatures that should not exist. High above them, the sky began to change. What had been empty blue air now showed dark shapes moving between the clouds. Ships. Hundreds of them, but not the sleek vessels of the Galactic Navy. These ships looked like living things made of black metal and sharp angles. They moved in patterns too organized to be natural, like a swarm of insects hunting together. The Hive Collective. Geo breathed, reading from his emergency database. But they are supposed to be on the other side of the galaxy. The Peace Treaty. Treaties mean nothing to bugs, Yuma said quietly. Her calm voice cut through the panic. They never intended to keep it. More ships appeared every minute. Some landed in the jungle around them with crashes that shook the ground. Others continued toward the academy station in high orbit. Through the broken communicator, they heard fragments of battle reports. Academy defense grid compromised. Hive drones in the lower levels. Commander Veltarth is down. All faculty to evacuation pods. Students are on their own. The final message came through clearly, in a voice none of them recognized. This is Admiral Chen of Earth Defense Command. The Hive Collective has launched a coordinated attack on 17 academy stations across the galaxy. All students are considered active combatants. Survival protocols are now in effect. May the universe have mercy on your souls. Then silence. Team 12 stood in the crimson jungle, listening to the sounds of war beginning around them. Explosions echoed from the direction of the nearest landing site. Alien roars mixed with the mechanical clicking of hive drones. "We need to reach the evacuation zone," Six more said, but his voice shook. "Find the other teams. Work together." "There is no evacuation zone," Yuna said simply. "This is not a rescue mission. This is an invasion." As if to prove her point, something crashed through the trees nearby. A hive drone the size of a small vehicle emerged from the undergrowth. Its black carapace gleamed with moisture from the jungle. 6 legs ended in claws that could cut through metal. Its compound eyes tracked their movements while mandibles clicked with hunger. Behind it came another drone. Then another. The hive had found them. Jiho raised his plasma rifle with shaking hands. Zixmore flexed his 4 arms, preparing for battle. Thala tried to use her mental powers, but fear clouded her abilities. The first drone lunged forward with impossible speed. Yuna moved faster. Her knife found the creature's weak spot behind its head before it could react. Black fluid sprayed across the jungle floor as the drone collapsed. But more were coming. The clicking sounds grew louder. Branches snapped as larger creatures pushed through the forest. "How many?" Jiho asked. Yuna listened to the sounds around them. Her training had taught her to count enemies by their noise patterns. 37, she said calmly. "Maybe more." "That is impossible," Zixmore said. "We cannot fight that many." "You cannot," Yuna agreed. She pulled out her communicator and entered a code she had never expected to use. "But I was not trained to fight fair." The device beeped once, then broadcast a message in a language none of her teammates understood. Korean military codes, transmitted on frequencies only Earth Command monitored. "Ghost of Busan to Silent Thunder Command," she said in her native language, requesting immediate activation of all assets in this sector. "The masks are coming off." The response came back in seconds. "Confirmed, Ghost. All human assets are weapons-free. Show them what we really are." Yuna looked at her teammates. The proud warrior, the frightened telepath, the gentle technician who had never killed anything in his life. "Stay behind me," she said. "This is about to become very different from anything you have seen." The hive drones burst from the jungle in a wave of claws and hunger. The quiet student was gone forever. The predator had awakened. The first wave of hive drones died in 15 seconds. Yuna moved through them like death itself. Her knife found weak points that should not have existed. She struck nerve clusters that paralyzed the creatures instantly. When one drone tried to call for help, she crushed its communication organ with her bare hand. Jiho watched in horror as black blood splattered across the jungle trees. This was not the careful, quick killing he had seen before. This was something else entirely. "Yuna," he whispered, "what are you doing?" She turned to look at him, and for the first time, her eyes showed something other than calm. They showed hunger. "I am hunting," she said simply. More drones crashed through the undergrowth, following the death sounds of their packmates. Yuna vanished into the crimson shadows without making a sound. What happened next made Zixmore question everything he knew about warfare. The drones began to scream. Hive creatures did not feel fear the way other species did. They were designed to be perfect soldiers. No emotions, no doubts, only the drive to kill and consume. But something was happening in the jungle that broke their programming. One drone stumbled into their camp, 3 of its legs cut off. It clicked frantically in hive language before collapsing. Another followed, blinded and bleeding, crashing into trees as it tried to escape something it could not see. "She is torturing them," Thala said, her voice shaking. "I can sense their terror. They do not understand what is hunting them." Yuna appeared at the edge of their firelight, carrying a hive communication device. Her clothes were soaked with black blood, but she moved with perfect silence. "I need information," she said, connecting the alien device to her human communicator. "The hive has a coordination frequency. Once I break their codes, I can track their command structure." "How do you know hive technology?" Zixmore asked. "Earth has been studying them for 20 years," Yuna replied as she worked. We captured their ships during the border wars. Wars your people never knew about. The device chirped as it decoded hive signals. Voices filled the air, clicking, buzzing sounds that meant nothing to her teammates, but everything to Yuna. Interesting, she said. They are reporting unusual casualties. Predators that do not match any known species. They are requesting reinforcements. She smiled, and the expression made Jiho step backward. Good, let them come. A new voice crackled through their communicator. Human, speaking in Korean. Ghost of Busan. This is Shadow 7. Do you copy? Yuna responded in the same language. To her teammates, it sounded like meaningless syllables, but her face showed recognition. Shadow 7 confirmed, she said in Standard. Another human asset has activated nearby. We are not alone. An hour later, they met Sora Min at the ruins of an abandoned research station. She was a small woman with gentle eyes, someone who had worked in the Academy's communications department for 2 years. Everyone thought she was just a translator. I monitored Earth command frequencies during the attack, Sora explained as she set up her equipment. 67 human assets have activated across the galaxy. Students, diplomats, trade representatives, cultural attaches. All of them were Silent Thunder operatives. She showed them a galactic map covered in red dots. Each dot represented a human agent who had just revealed their true nature. The Kethtar military command lost 4 generals in the past hour, Sora continued. All killed by their harmless human advisors. The Vrex War Council was eliminated by a single human secretary. The Lumina defensive grid fell when their exchange student sabotaged their main computers. 6 more stared at the map with growing horror. You have been planning this. For 50 years. Sora nodded. Since first contact, Earth knew that eventually someone would try to destroy us. So we prepared. The Hive invasion was not random, Yuna added. They chose Academy stations because they thought young soldiers would be easy targets. They did not know that 20% of all students were actually Earth's deadliest killers. A new message appeared on Sora's screen. Reports from across the galaxy in dozens of languages, all saying the same thing. Human attacks. Impossible speed. No survivors. The galaxy is learning what we really are, Sora said quietly. Apex predators who have been hiding among them for decades. Thala's tentacles glowed as she tried to process what she was hearing. You used us. All of us. We welcomed you into our schools, our governments, our homes. Yes, Yuna said without emotion. And that welcome allowed us to study your weaknesses, learn your languages, map your defenses, understand exactly how to kill you when the time came. In the distance, more high ships landed with thunderous crashes. But for the first time since the invasion began, the clicking sounds of their communication carried a new tone. Fear. The hunters had become the hunted, and they were learning what it meant to be prey to something far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. Within 3 days, Yuna had turned Kithara's crimson jungle into a nightmare for the Hive Collective. She no longer pretended to be a student. Her movements were those of a trained killer who had found her perfect hunting ground. The other surviving cadets, 16 aliens from different teams, followed her because she was the only one who kept them alive. We strike the supply convoys first, Yuna explained as she drew plans in the dirt, cut off their food and ammunition, make them hungry and desperate. Minho, the human from Team 7, nodded in agreement. Standard guerrilla tactics. But how do we fight creatures that outnumber us 50-1? Yuna's smile was cold as winter. We make them afraid to leave their ships. That night, a Hive supply convoy traveling through the jungle simply vanished. 20 drones and their cargo disappeared without sending a distress signal. The only trace left behind was a message written in Hive blood on a tree. Welcome to Earth's hunting ground. The next morning, Hive patrols found their missing soldiers. The drones had been arranged in a perfect circle, each one killed in a different way. It was a lesson in human anatomy knowledge, showing exactly how many ways something could die. This is psychological warfare, Geo whispered as they watched Hive reinforcements discover the scene. She is teaching them to fear us. Yuna was already planning the next attack. She had captured a Hive communication officer alive, and now she tied the creature to a tree at the center of their camp. I need to know their attack patterns, she said calmly. Their ship locations. How many more are coming? The Hive drone clicked angrily in its alien language. Its compound eyes showed no emotion, only the mechanical hatred of its species. Yuna began to work. What she did next made even six more turn away in horror. The proud Vrex warrior had seen battle before, had killed enemies with his own hands. But he had never seen interrogation like this. Yuna did not use torture devices or complicated methods. She simply used her perfect knowledge of Hive biology to cause precise amounts of pain. Each touch, each cut, each pressure point was calculated to break the creature's will without killing it. Please, Thala begged, her tentacles pale with shock. This is not right. Even enemies deserve mercy. Mercy is for species that do not eat children, Yuna replied without looking up from her work. The Hive has consumed 17 colony worlds. Billions of lives. They deserve exactly what they gave those people. The Hive drone began to talk after 20 minutes. It revealed supply routes, attack schedules, the location of their main command ship. When Yuna was finished, she killed the creature quickly and cleanly. No more suffering, just efficient death. Now we plan their destruction, she said, washing her hands in a jungle stream. Using the stolen information, Yuna led coordinated strikes against Hive positions across Kythera. She taught the surviving cadets to move silently, to strike without warning, to disappear before the enemy could respond. Rock, the massive granite warrior, learned to use his stone-like skin to hide among the rocks. Thala discovered her mental powers could confuse Hive navigation systems. Even gentle Geo became deadly with explosives, turning Hive landing zones into death traps. But it was Yuna who became legend. Hive drones began to speak of the shadow death that stalked Kythera's jungles, a creature that killed without sound, struck without warning, and left messages written in their comrades' blood. Their command frequencies filled with fear reports, something that had never happened in Hive military history. For the first time, their perfect soldiers were learning what it meant to be prey. Command, we request immediate evacuation from Kythera, one Hive captain transmitted. Our losses are 70%. The creatures here are not natural. They hunt us with intelligence and malice. The response came back in angry clicks. There is no evacuation. Complete your mission or face execution. But some orders could not be followed. By the end of the second week, Hive forces were abandoning their positions and fleeing into space. The quiet girl from the back of the classroom had turned an alien invasion into a rout. And across the galaxy, similar reports were coming in from every world where humans had studied. The universe was learning to fear the species it had dismissed as weak. 3 months later, the rescue ships finally arrived at Kythera. The Galactic Navy fleet dropped out of hyperspace expecting to find a planet full of Hive forces and dead students. Instead, they discovered something that would be studied in military academies for centuries to come. The Hive invasion force was gone. Not retreated, completely eliminated. 200 ships, 10,000 drones, and their entire command structure had been destroyed by 17 academy students, led by a quiet human girl. Admiral Teklon of the Kethtar Navy stood in the ruins of the Hive Command Center, studying the tactical reports. His reptilian face showed confusion and growing respect. How many human military units were secretly deployed to this planet? He asked the surviving students. None, Yuna replied calmly. She had returned to her soft voice and unremarkable manner. Just academy cadets. The admiral stared at her with yellow eyes that had seen 1,000 battles. This small human girl had accomplished what his best generals thought impossible. The Hive Collective has formally requested a peace treaty, he said slowly. Not just a ceasefire. Complete surrender. They are afraid to continue fighting their species. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out on dozens of worlds. The coordinated hive invasion had collapsed within weeks, broken by human students and diplomats who revealed their true nature when threatened. The Vrex Empire immediately began negotiating new trade agreements with Earth. The Lumina Council offered technological exchanges. The Granite Federation requested human military advisors. Everyone wanted to be friends with the species they had once dismissed as weak. 6 months later, Yuna sat in the rebuilt classroom at Nexus 7 Academy. Construction drones had repaired the damage from the hive attack, but something fundamental had changed. She occupied the same seat in the back corner, taking notes with the same careful handwriting. But now, the other students watched her constantly. When she moved, they tracked her movements. When she spoke, they listened with complete attention. The new instructor was Commander Do-Yeon Kim, a human officer who had replaced the deceased Veltarth. He stood at the front of the class, addressing a room full of alien cadets who no longer whispered about human weakness. "Today we study the Kythera campaign," Commander Kim said. "How 17 students defeated a force that outnumbered them 600 to 1. New students filled some of the empty seats. More humans had arrived as part of Earth's expanded cultural exchange program. They sat quietly, took careful notes, and rarely spoke. But everyone noticed how they watched, how they listened, how they moved with the same fluid grace that had once made Yuna seem unremarkable." Zix Moore, now in his final year, leaned over to whisper to a new Vrex student, "Be very careful around the human cadets, especially the quiet ones." "Why?" the younger student asked. "They look harmless." Zix Moore's forearms trembled slightly as he remembered crimson jungles and the sound of dying hive drones. That is exactly what makes them so dangerous. At the back of the room, a new human student named Hyun raised her hand. "Commander, what happened to the hive forces that escaped Kythera?" Commander Kim smiled, the same cold expression Yuna had once worn. "An excellent question, Cadet Park. They fled to their home worlds and spread stories about human capabilities. Stories that convinced their entire collective to surrender rather than face us again." He turned to address the whole class. "This teaches us an important lesson about warfare. Sometimes the greatest victory is not destroying your enemy, but teaching them to fear you so completely that they never dare to attack again." Yuna continued taking notes, her expression calm and focused. She looked exactly like the unremarkable student who had first arrived at the academy 2 years ago. But now, when alien cadets saw her sitting quietly in her corner, they did not see weakness. They saw a predator at rest. The quiet girl in class was still the deadliest, most merciless hunter in the galaxy. The only difference was that now, everyone knew it. And across the stars, on 1,000 different worlds, other quiet human students sat in other classrooms, taking careful notes and waiting patiently for their time to hunt. The galaxy had learned to fear the sound of silence.